Hi, I'm Justin Diamond, and today I'm going to read Chapter 3 of my upcoming novel, Giant Special Tokyo Love and Game. Today's chapter is called Mega Yokozuna Man. In the beginning, there was Nintendo. Sure, I had an Atari first, but at that time I had no idea that Atari was a word in Japanese. It's roughly the equivalent of saying check in chess, only instead of chess, the game is Go. Nintendo was Japanese and cool enough to make the young me forget entirely about his Atari. I played Mega Man. I watched cartoons. Not the crappy kids' cartoons. The cool cartoons, the coolest of which didn't even come on during the day. It didn't even play on a regular basis. It was called Speed Racer. Something about it was different. Something about it was kind of awesome. It was animation, but done in a completely different style. I couldn't get enough of it. The first CD I ever bought was Speed Racer, the music from the cartoon. The final track was a hardcore mix where it sounded like Speed Racer was fucking his girlfriend, Trixie. It was one of the first things I bought with a sex reference. Even watching something as Western as wrestling, my favorite was Yokozuna, a big fat Japanese guy, a sumo wrestler in the WWF. Would Japan also take credit for Karate Kid and its many sequels? In my head, probably. While we're at it, let's throw all these karate lessons I took as a kid and the taekwondo lessons. Even though I knew that taekwondo is Korean, to some extent the uninitiated Westerners would blur all their Asian cultures together. It was the anime explosion, just like our American comic books, except with more sex in them. More weird, better stories. Anime had style. And let's not forget about ninjas. Ninjas, the whole reason why any kid in America ever gets interested in the martial arts to begin with. Ninjas, be them the traditional men in black or ninjas in the form of mutant turtles. The inspiration to the joke my father would always tell at sushi bars. He would take me out to eat as a young boy, and when other people eating there at the sushi bar saw the young boy version of me eating sushi, Dad would say, "You know how I get him to eat sushi? I told him that's what ninjas eat." Ha ha ha. It was there, somewhere in the many ninja Halloween costumes. It was there in the throwing stars that were made out of paper, and later, real metal ones that we would practice throwing at a board. It was all the ass-kicking video games which were often about ninjas, else video games simply made by Japanese people. It was the relative who was in the Air Force back in WW2 who would have dropped the third atomic bomb had our government chosen to drop a third. He had a Japanese wife named Tomoko. They always had friends visiting from Japan, usually women. Those women inevitably had names that ended with ko: Akiko, Yukiko, Michiko. The list went on. Who were these people who removed their shoes before entering the house, and made such good food, and always gave their girls names which ended in ko? It was the robots you were always hearing about. A Japanese company somewhere had started to manufacture robots for use in office buildings, for use in hospitals, robots directing traffic, robots as the villains in sci-fi movies. Always, inevitably, Japanese. It was their form of writing, their icons, which had become the latest fad, tattooed on college bodies across the country. What did they mean? Nobody knew, nobody could read them, but still, they looked cool. It didn't matter if you had the word water or prosperity tattooed on your body, because it meant that you were cool in some ineffable way. The best kind of cool. It's every Bruce Lee movie I ever saw late night on TV. The screams, the hi-ya, the nunchucks, the lightning fast moves, the scores of bad guys that fell to his punches and kicks. It doesn't matter that Bruce Lee was Chinese because, like so many other things, every kung fu flick got thrown into the same mental bin as all the others. In my recollection, Japanese stuff was as good as a Venn diagram where karate movies simply overlapped with the sushi and the white flag with the red circle in the middle. It was the entire country going through a Tamagotchi phase, those stupid keychain digital pets that were all the rage before cell phones replaced them. It was the hysterical laughter at a commercial that combined sumo wrestling with high diving to form Sumo High Dive. It was living in Florida where there aren't many Asians to begin with, where Asian culture was mysterious, and the Asians themselves in short supply, where there was never a Chinatown to go visit, even though every other city you heard about seemed to have one. It was graduating from college with a degree in English and realizing I didn't have a plan. The constant, nagging questions about what I was going to do with my life after graduation. What was I going to do with my degree in English? And the only answer that actually made use of the degree was teach. But not teaching in school like elementary or high school. Not teaching kids, the same pool of rugrats I had just come from. That felt like a big step back. Instead, wasn't it a better choice to choose to teach people who actually wanted to learn? Wasn't it better to travel in the bargain? Wasn't it better to teach English abroad? It was the realization that English was the international language, the language of business. People who lived in other countries tended to know their mother tongue and English. Those who spoke English could go anywhere, and without much difficulty, find someone they could communicate with. Speaking English was a privilege, something people paid good money for, something I could be paid to do.